Good evening, I'm Jessica Savage, and this is NBC Nightly News. 5 days, 80 orbits, 2.1 million miles later, and America's second space shuttle returned home safely today. The Challenger touched down at 10:53 a.m. California time at Edwards Air Force Base, and our science correspondent, Robert Bazell, was there.
Long-range cameras picked up the Challenger just after it passed over the California coast, heading back toward Earth from its first trip into space. A crowd of 250,000 people waited at Edwards Air Force Base on a sunny but windy Saturday morning. The winds gusting over 30 miles per hour presented no problem to the spacecraft as it landed on the concrete runway. One of the objectives of this mission was to test the brakes on the Challenger's wheels. They worked. The Challenger stopped about 7,000 feet down the runway from the point where its wheels touched down. A little while later, the 4 astronauts, looking slightly wobbly from their 5 days in zero gravity, walked down the stairs. That is Commander Paul Weitz first, followed by Story Musgrave, Donald Peterson, and Carl Bobko. They told the crowd they liked the new spaceship.
I really think the Challenger is one hell of a flying machine.
The head of the shuttle program agreed.
With the exception of the problem areas that we had during the deployment of the IUS and the separation of the TDRS satellite, the mission was just incredibly routine.
But the problems with the communications satellite are serious. In the next few weeks, NASA will try to put it into the proper orbit, and a board of inquiry will try to find out what happened to it. If those efforts fail, the entire shuttle program will be knocked way off schedule. Meanwhile, the Challenger will be flown back to Florida, where technicians will try to get it ready for another trip into space in early June. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Edwards Air Force Base, California.
The Challenger crew was America's oldest to date. The combined flying experience of the 4, 111 years, so Mission Control dubbed them the Geritol Bunch. 2 major volcanic eruptions today. We'll have details on Etna and Kilauea next.
I can't face these bills with this headache, Patricia.
Well, there's no cure for bills. But you can fight headache pain and win with Anacin.
But why Anacin?
Anacin has more medicine than any regular strength pain reliever.
I didn't know that. I'll try it. I feel so much better.
Terrific.
Now, if I could just get rid of these bills.
Like Anacin got rid of your headache? Anacin and maximum strength Anacin fight pain and win.
This roomy, inexpensive Subaru station wagon not only goes far on a gallon of gas, it also goes almost anywhere on a gallon of gas, thanks to front-wheel drive. But if you want more traction than our wagon with front-wheel drive, we suggest our wagon with on-demand four-wheel drive. Subaru, inexpensive, and built to stay that way.
I know this Hart's 2-in-1 plus reflecting flea and tick collar really saved my cat's life, because I was driving the car that almost hit her. I was about a half a block from home. I don't know how she got out, but all of a sudden I saw a bright glow up the street. Her Hart's collar was reflecting my headlights. Thank goodness I had time to stop. Cats really need nighttime safety. Plus they get 5 months of flea and tick protection, all from the Hart's 2-in-1 plus reflecting collar. Now the famous Hart's flea and tick killer can be a lifesaver too.
Lava flowed today from 2 volcanoes, one in Sicily and one in Hawaii. A fresh flow of molten rock spilled from Mount Etna. It damaged the lodge of an Italian alpine club, and it destroyed a chalet nearby. This is the 13th day of eruption of the Sicilian volcano. Then in Hawaii, at Kilauea, the lava flow is bigger, potentially more damaging, as we hear in this report from Don Oliver.
It was dusk when the lava flow began to eat into the Royal Garden subdivision. The 150 residents were ordered out for the 3rd time since January. In the evening and well into the night, Kilauea's fountain was pumping out nearly 100,000 cubic yards of hot lava every minute. In the subdivision, it ate through 6 houses. But at 4 o'clock this morning, after 11 days of activity, the volcano stopped. Geologists who've watched it 24 hours a day think it may be the end of a phase.
It just seems from the way it's been acting that it's been shutting off for about 3 weeks between episodes.
But the head of the lava flow munched on hours later down King Street, pushed by gravity, the hot lava already in the channel.
Well, it's just a question now of just watching this flow creep, and it should continue, I would imagine, for the next couple of days.
Scientists say that earth tremors here are now at their lowest point since January, but they also say that's no guarantee that Kilauea won't crank back up at any time. What does that mean to the people who live up here? Dave Ford says he's staying. He has a sense of humor, and so does Harry Lausman.
You just got to go with the flow.
In the end, Madame Pele will probably have her way anyway. Don Oliver, NBC News, on the island of Hawaii.
There was some sunshine today in Louisiana and Mississippi. 4 days of rain had forced 27,000 people to flee, and it cost 11 lives. Today, people living upstream began moving back, checking out the damages, starting the cleanup. Those downstream still waited for the floodwaters to reach them. Dan Molina has a report.
In much of the flooded region today, rivers had crested. Although hundreds of square miles were still underwater, some people began moving back into their homes. Generally, the worst is over. The sun was also shining today on the small Louisiana town of French Settlement, but here floodwaters were steadily advancing. Townspeople volunteered to fill sandbags for anyone who needed them.
We just saw the bad fix that everybody was in. They all needed the sand, they needed the bags, and we just came out here to help them. To help them try to save their homes.
These people here know each other, or is it...
Some do, some don't.
There was a rush to get a truckload of sandbags to Mrs. Terry Guitro. Her husband was in the hospital, and the water was inches from her house.
Well, this is all new to me. We've never had water here before.
What do you think of the young folks helping you like that?
That's great. I'd have never thought that I'd have seen all these young people out here. I called them, and they came right on out with the sand and the bags, and they're doing their job.
A few miles north of French Settlement, the Amite River crested at mid-afternoon. Downstream in this region of Louisiana, peak water levels probably won't come until tomorrow. Floodwaters will continue to rise in a few areas until Monday. Dan Molina, NBC News, French Settlement, Louisiana.
Coming up, is this the return of King Kong? Stay tuned. Next.
Good night. Well, good night.
I had fun.
It's really cold.
I could make some coffee.
Times like these are made for Taster's Choice.
Taster's Choice, a premium blend of some of the world's best coffee beans, freeze-dried to keep its fresh brewed flavor for your best coffee times.
This is the time, America. Go for it. Go for Michelin and get all the tire your money can buy. Go for Michelin Performance. Go for Michelin fuel economy and long tire life. Go for Michelin handling. Don't settle for less. Go for Michelin. This is the time. This is the tire. This is the place. We put America on radials. We want to put you on Michelin.
Wow.
We took the label off Aquafresh to show you what nobody else has. Our triple protection formula. All the cavity-fighting fluoride of the leading paste. All the breath freshener of the leading gel. And gentle cleaners that even remove stained film. Concentrated in one complete toothpaste.
So that's what triple protection looks like.
Triple protection Aquafresh. A complete toothpaste.
50 years ago, the movie King Kong made cinema history. To commemorate that event, an attempt was made to put a new King Kong atop the Empire State Building. It was an epic in itself, as Norma Quarles reports.
For the past 6 days, workmen have been trying to put the 10-story replica of King Kong atop New York's Empire State Building, where the giant ape made film history 50 years ago. But it was almost harder getting this Kong onto the building than it was to shoot the original down in the film. The 3,000-pound balloon was rigged wrong and could have ended up clinging to the 102-story building upside down. Then he was torn by one of 22 windows broken during hoisting. Promoters have spent more than $100,000 on the inflated monster. They say it's a fitting tribute to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the film King Kong, the picture that saved RKO Studios from bankruptcy in 1933. Children whose parents weren't even born when the film was made seem to have a special affection for King Kong.
Yeah, the finger. It's big and scary and climbs up buildings. The size of him is, it's unbelievable, so I wanted to see him, and you don't usually see him around here.
Workmen spent most of today trying to hoist the deflated ape to his perch, but once again, things went wrong. They'll try again tomorrow to put King Kong where many would like to see him, on the Empire State Building. Norma Quarles, NBC News, New York.
Finally, potential office holders usually throw their hats in the ring, so to speak, and then let the voters decide. In Kingston, Idaho, Harry Holland and Robert Panokin threw themselves into the ring and slugged their way to a decision on who would be the city mayor. Holland, the incumbent, declared himself the mayor of the tiny town 15 years ago. He had no duties and he had no challengers, that is, until Panconin, a former Secret Service employee. The winner? The incumbent, Harry Holland, and incidentally a winner, the Silver Valley, Idaho Boxing Club, the recipient of the $2 per ticket admission. And that is our report tonight. Lloyd Dobbins hosts Monitor tonight at 10 Eastern, 9 Central and Mountain Time. And Chris Wallace will be here tomorrow for Nightly News. I'm Jessica Savage from New York. Thank you. And good night from all of us at NBC News.
Tonight on Monitor, why would a 3-year-old try to commit suicide?
All I wanted was a little attention.
Don't miss Monitor. It could be a matter of life or death.
Sunday, if you love the movie, don't miss the hot new series Casablanca. The intrigue, the adventure, the romance. One word says it all, Casablanca.
Coming up on the scene at 6, a federal grand jury is running another investigation into bid rigging in Tennessee. This time it focuses on public utility construction. Tennessee's banking commissioner confirms a plan to package 4 troubled banks for sale to the highest bidder is being considered. And today is Prisoner of War Recognition Day. All of Tennessee's veterans are still listed as missing in action in Vietnam were recognized one by one.
These stories and more news coming up on The Scene at 6.
How would you like to win $100? We're giving away $100 every afternoon during the People's Court in the Great RC $100 a Day giveaway. Pick up an entry blank at your grocer's or send your name and address on a 2-inch by 10-inch plain piece of paper to RC 100 Contest, Post Office Box 407, Nashville, Tennessee 37202. There's a new contest every week, so you can enter as often as you like, and maybe you'll be one of our lucky winners.
This is Channel 4, WSMV, Nashville. From Channel 4 News, this is The Scene at 6 with Jim Travis, Sharon Puckett, Dan McDaniel.
Former astronaut Wally Schirra joins Dan Miller for an encore presentation of Miller & Company tonight at 10:30 here on Channel 4 WSMV Nashville.
King Hussein says no, he will not join peace talks with Israel. In Chicago, the bitter race for mayor enters the final days, with both sides predicting victory. And on the 40th anniversary of the Jewish uprising against the Nazis in the Warsaw Ghetto, people in Poland remember and argue about a terrible tragedy. Good evening, I'm Chris Wallace, and this is NBC Nightly News. King Hussein dealt a major setback to President Reagan's Mideast peace plan today, announcing he will not enter negotiations with Israel. The announcement marked a breakdown in Hussein's efforts to win approval from the PLO to let Jordan negotiate on behalf of the Palestinians. Paul Miller reports from Jordan.
King Hussein had hoped to join the peace talks proposed by President Reagan, but today he and his cabinet concluded Jordan could not act separately or on behalf of anyone else in any peace negotiations. Last weekend, the King and PLO chairman Yasser Arafat reached a tentative agreement to work together on a peace settlement. Hussein had said he could not enter peace talks without Arafat's support. The tentative agreement fell apart when it was presented to the PLO's executive committee. The committee raised new conditions, and Arafat did not return for more talks with the king. There would be great risks for Hussein if he acted alone. His life could be in danger. He might lose the financial support of other Arab countries that Jordan depends upon. Hussein has promised to continue to support the Palestinians, thousands of whom still live in refugee camps in his country. But he's leaving it up to the PLO to find a way to get back the West Bank and Gaza Strip for a homeland. The PLO is unlikely to seek a homeland through the Reagan plan. It does not believe American assurances that the United States can deliver what it promises, and the Reagan plan does not call for an independent Palestinian state. Hussein believed the Reagan plan was the most realistic way of getting peace in the Middle East. Without his support, the Reagan plan is all but dead, but the risks were simply too great for the king to act alone. Paul Miller, NBC News, Amman, Jordan.
President Reagan spoke with King Hussein and then said that while today's developments are an impediment, that the U.S. peace initiative is not dead. Marvin Kalb reports now from Washington on the administration's efforts to keep the Reagan peace plan going.
The President and his Secretary of State got the surprising and disappointing news at Camp David, where they had spent the weekend with their wives. On their return, the President blamed the setback on what he termed some radical elements of the PLO, presumably exempting Yasser Arafat from responsibility, but no one is sure. Those elements, according to the President, insisted on new unspecified changes which wouldn't fly either in Jordan or Saudi Arabia.
Those changes are unacceptable to King Hussein. They are unacceptable to King Fahd. They are unacceptable to me.
Calling these changes an impediment in our search for peace, the President still tried to put the best face on a possibly fatal blow to his September 1st peace proposals, after talking today with both Hussein and Fahd.
We're all very hopeful, because as I say, we're all in agreement about these other proposals that have been made. So, I have their assurance that they want to proceed with what we've been doing. We've made great progress so far, and King Hussein has made great progress.
That seems to be a matter of interpretation. First, the reported PLO switch at the 11th hour, and then Hussein's seeming withdrawal from the peace process. Both represent a major setback for U.S. policy. Officials say that both Hussein and the Saudis want the President's peace efforts to continue. Hussein may come here, or Secretary Shultz may go there. The key policy question now is whether everyone will continue to chase the PLO, or strike out on a new Middle East approach that excludes the PLO as a key player. Marvin Kalb, NBC News, the State Department.
There was no sadness in Israel about today's developments. The Begin government never liked the Reagan peace plan, and Israeli officials said today that they never expected King Hussein to join the peace process. Phil Bremen in Tel Aviv.
President Reagan's negotiator, Philip Habib, was not talking when he returned to the Middle East tonight. His arrival in Israel was planned before King Hussein made the announcement that may have killed the Reagan peace plan. State television tonight quoted a senior Israeli official as saying, Israel never expected anything to come of the Reagan plan or the Hussein-Arafat talks, so Israel, he said, has nothing to be disappointed about. Israel rejected the Reagan plan the moment it was proposed and continued to build Jewish settlements on the West Bank. The Reagan administration repeatedly urged Israel to freeze the settlements and withdraw its troops from Lebanon to encourage King Hussein to come to the peace table. Only hours before Hussein declared he was not coming, cabinet spokesman Dan Meridor indicated Israel was not budging either.
If somebody thinks that instead of coming to talk to us, he can try to pressure the United States to pressure us, this in any case will not lead to peace.
The feeling here is that as long as Arab hardliners can prevent the moderates from dealing with Israel, Prime Minister Begin can continue to claim there is no secure way to deal with them. Phil Bremen, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
A PLO representative was assassinated today while attending a socialist conference in Portugal. Issam Sartawi was approached by a gunman in a hotel lobby and shot at point-blank range. Sartawi was known as a moderate who favored reconciliation with Israel. A radical Palestinian group based in Syria claimed responsibility for the shooting. And in Mississippi, an elderly couple struggles to rebuild after being flooded out for the third time. That story next.
Apple computer.
My Apple has a great head for stats. It sure makes my job a lot easier.
There are more people in more places doing more things with Apples than with any other personal computer in the world.
Man, we never travel without the Apple.
And of all these people using Apples, most had never touched a computer before. Apple, the most personal computer.
For 1983, Plymouth is making Made in America mean something again. Quality, durability. Now Made in America means many of Plymouth's vital parts and functions are computer designed, stress tested. It means Reliant K is the highest mileage 6-passenger front-wheel drive car in America. Horizon is a sensibly priced complete American car. And Turismo 2.2 gives you 0 to 50 in 5.8 seconds. It means 5 years or 50,000 miles protection. Hard proof. Plymouth is the American way to get your money's worth.
My most embarrassing moment with my dentures, my wedding day. I started to say I do and my upper plate nearly fell out. I thought I'd cry. That's when I got Super Polygrip. Super Polygrip gives a real firm hold and also helps keep food from getting under your dentures and irritating your gums. Since my wedding, I always use Super Polygrip.
Super Polygrip helps keep food out, dentures in.
I hate to cry at weddings.
Devastating floods continue to batter the South. The Pearl River, straddling the Louisiana-Mississippi line, rose today to a record crest of over 21 feet. The high water burst levees, flooded highways, and cut off major routes to Mississippi. Dan Molina reports.
This rushing river is in fact Interstate 10 near Slidell, Louisiana. Floodwaters closed the highway yesterday evening. Many of the points where streets become streams in residential areas of Slidell are now boat landings. People headed out with their belongings. People headed in to gather up another boatload or to pump out their property. The sandbagging hasn't stopped for 4 days. There are people here who have worked themselves to exhaustion, slept for 4 or 5 hours, then picked up a shovel again. These people are fighting against water coming directly out of the Pearl River. In other places, people have barricaded themselves against water coming from another subdivision. That protects them, but it creates a much more severe problem for their neighbors. A force made up of every law enforcement agency in Louisiana and the state's military reserves has been mobilized to keep the peace, catch the looters, rescue the stranded, and keep the sightseers away.
Now on, you're going to be known as Rescue Team 1 through whatever.
The Weather Service is now forecasting heavy rain late this week for the upper Mississippi Basin. Their prediction is that this will not add to the flooding in this area, but they say it will keep the water levels from falling as quickly as people here had hoped. Dan Molina, NBC News, Slidell, Louisiana.
For most people who live near the rivers of the South, the threat of floods is something they learn to live with and cope with. Kenley Jones reports from Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
The street was still flooded in front of Dan and Arlene Hinton's house in Hattiesburg this morning, but they were anxious to move back in. They had a lot of help. Their son and 2 daughters, 1 daughter-in-law and 1 son-in-law, and 6 grandchildren. The Hintons moved their furniture out last Thursday when the nearby Leaf River began rising rapidly, threatening the house they have lived in for 35 years. This time, the damage was not so severe. During one previous flood, the water inside the house was 5 feet deep. This is the 3rd time in the last 9 years that the Hintons have had to do this. Move everything out, then move it all back in.
Did you ever think about moving away from the river?
Well, I've thought about it, but I like it here.
You must get tired of this, moving in and out every time the water comes up.
Sure do.
But your husband says he likes to live here.
Well, we've been here over 30 years. It's home.
Did you ever try to get him to move?
We're too old to start over again.
Yeah? So you're just going to stay here, huh?
I reckon we will.
Floods may come and floods may go, but for the Hintons of Hattiesburg, there's no place like home, down by the riverside. Kenley Jones, NBC News, Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Democratic Congressman Philip Burton of California died today at the age of 55. A liberal and a strong environmentalist, Burton once came within a single vote of being elected the Democratic leader of the House. He was also a master at drawing district lines to help get Democrats elected. Burton called one set of strangely shaped districts his contribution to modern art. And NBC Nightly News continues in a moment.
Federal Express now schedules delivery by 10:30 a.m., which gives you a lot more time to get ahead.
Nice work, Wiener. You always come through for me.
Nice work, Reamer. You always come through for me.
Nice work, Dweezil.
Nice work, Fistoli. Nice work, Plotner.
Nice work, Wiener. You always come through for me. Federal Express, now by 10:30 a.m.
No A1 for my hamburger? Miss, A1 steak sauce, please. Imagine a great place like this without A1 on the table.
Yeah.
You need A1 to make a steak burger.
Sure do.
After all, what is hamburger? Chopped ham, it's chopped steak. And A1 has special herbs and spices created for steak. So A1 makes hamburgers taste like steak burgers.
I know, that's why I have it at home.
So why settle for less when you eat out?
You're right.
Miss, A1, please.
A1 makes hamburgers taste like steak burgers.
Ask for A1 at your favorite restaurant.
Rush hour. For fast relief, take one Ford EXP twice a day. It knows how to get the most out of a gallon of gas. And now comes with a new, lower price. Why Ford EXP? Because all work and no play would make for a pretty dull day.
Have you driven a Ford? Driven a Ford? Thank you.
Now get 9.9% financing or cash on new Ford EXPs.
There are now just 2 days left in Chicago's mayoral campaign, and today both candidates, Democrat Harold Washington and Republican Bernard Epton, predicted they will win. If Congressman Washington is to become Chicago's first black mayor, he will have to get extraordinary support from the city's blacks. Ken Bodie reports now on the effort to get out the black vote.
Is Chicago ready for a black mayor? Well, part of Chicago certainly is.
And I may not be the best person in the world for this job, but there ain't no damn question about it. I'm the best candidate for mayor in 1980.
In the primary, 72% of the black vote turned out. 80% of that went to Harold Washington. To win on Tuesday, Washington knows he has to do better on both counts.
April the 12th. Oh, yeah. I'll be there.
In churches, community groups, everywhere, there are Washington rallies.
We are going to get up and walk. And we're going to walk our people to the polls on April 12th.
Turnout could be very high in Chicago. In the black areas, it could be as high as anywhere in history.
We're projecting an 80% turnout and a 95% plus vote for Harold Washington.
Some say Harold Washington is not the best candidate because of his conviction for failing to file income taxes.
It's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the man's character. It has nothing to do with the man's programs. It's just an issue to hide behind racism.
Blacks have never controlled a city hall as big and powerful as Chicago's.
For those of you who believe that they're going to be cooking barbecue all over City Hall, once he takes office, I just want you to know there will be no barbecue cooking above the first floor.
I've got the light of freedom. I've got the light of freedom. And I'm going to let it shine.
The whole question now is turnout. One Washington worker said, in the black community, voting is mandatory.
Well, if we don't do it now, we might not never be able to do it.
Ken Bodie, NBC News, Chicago.
NASA officials are optimistic that the Space Shuttle Challenger may be back in space in record time. Early June is the target for the next launch, and that's just 2 months from now.